You're watching it in Prime. Thank you for staying with us. Let's pick up from where Wilson Mburu left it on the issue of intelligence. Of course, in studio, I'm joined by Francis Maina, who is a security expert, and Professor Noah Midambo, who also contributed to that story that was done by Wilson Mburu. He is a professor of defense and foreign policy at Kenya, at KCA. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us and, of course, staying with us. We're looking at the story that has just been done by Wilson Mburu, and we're looking at intelligence gathering in the country. Do we go wrong when you start blaming the police? Because either the police have no intelligence to act on, or they get the intelligence and they don't act on it.
Linda, we need to understand the genesis of what happened and where we are, and the enemy we are fighting. We took an excursion into Somalia. Kenya never done that since we got independent, with the idea that we are going to protect our citizens. Remember, the biggest responsibility on the shoulder of the president is to protect his citizen, property, and territorial integrity. There is no other major responsibility than that. And it was appropriate for the president and for us to take excursion into Somalia and send a very powerful statement. It was appropriate then. Is it appropriate now? The issue is we need to see our soldiers did marvelous, surprise attack and achieve a limited objective. Now, the issue is, where are we right now? Where we are right now is we are fighting an invisible enemy who is highly sophisticated. We need to define this enemy. We need to understand who they are. And I can define them in two parts. We are fighting jihadis who are committed and who are passionate about changing the world on their way of life. Then we have opportunists, economic opportunists. These are the people who control Kismayu, who are moving goods and services, and who do not need any government at all to control what they are doing. They're moving back and forth incredible capital. And therefore, Kenya need to redraw completely its fighting apparatus. We need complete new approach, which need to be based at the village level. We need Kenyan people to understand that we are fighting a war which is not short-term, but is going to change our life forever and ever. And instead of having this district or wherever, intelligent folks who are, perhaps sitting down, drinking chai, and all that kind of thing, we need a new thinking.
Maina, we need a new thinking. And if you listen to the Cabinet Secretary Interior, Olelenku, today, he seemed in not so many words to be pointing to political leaders in the country. Of course, that changed the whole discussion, and we now focused on politicization of the entire issue. We had young men on Gong Road protesting against a particular leader who they say is responsible for Mpeketoni attacks. You have CORD leaders and Jubilee leaders in a back and forth. What do you think about politicizing this war on terror?
To my point of view, if you look at Honorable Lenku, he had no intelligence brief. In very simple terms, he didn't. You see, if you had gone through a briefing and you've been told what happened, sorry, you are able to expound, even if you don't give all the information you shared, the confidential intelligence. You are able to expound and give facts that if whatever happened started from point A to B. This person was just told to go and tell Kenyans the government is in control. It will do whatever it takes to fight all these criminals. But you see, these things have been reoccurring. People were killed in Garissa, nothing happened. Policemen were killed in Baragoi, nothing happened. You see, Kenyans are getting tired of the numbers of losing Kenyans. You see, it is not two people dying. These are Kenyans. It is not one person being killed. That's a Kenyan. So to me, I think the biggest threat we have in this country, it's our intelligence family. Either they walk apart in any organization, or the intelligence apparatus, they tell the president what they think the president would like to hear. And I can be very sincere to tell them whatever they have been telling him, one day it will come like today or last night. It will be completely poked holes by the criminals, and it will be seen that the intelligence they give is extremely poor. On the issue of the international families of intelligence collectors, you must create a very close relationship with the international organizations. You must create a wealth of intelligence officers from Kenya who are very confidential, who are very covert, who don't trade. Let me finish. Who don't trade on intelligence. You see, once the intelligence families start telling you from the international level that we suspect leader Oguttu is a suspect on terrorism, on Al-shabaab and Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, then they get to know that Lindah knew. Then they know somebody within the intelligence family of Kenya might have leaked the intelligence. And that is where I'm coming to. Our main threat in this country is people peddling intelligence for financial gain. And that's where we get it very wrong. After painstaking collecting intelligence is very painful to collect, and it's very expensive. After collecting so much intelligence, they get the white widow in Diani, food hot and boiling in the house, and she's gone. There is no magic in that. There is somebody who tipped her. The guys are back on your head. They're just behind you, knocking the door.
Professor, listening to Maina, is intelligence our biggest letdown? Because today the Cabinet Secretary seemed to point at political leaders. Later on in the evening, you have Al-shabaab taking responsibility for the attack. Is our intelligence system our undoing as a country?
Lindah, this is not the time for mudslinging.
We are not mudslinging it. We are talking about facts.
Well, yeah, this is not the time for politicians to mudsling. It is time for the president of Kenya to use a bully pulpit and to express compelling reasons why all Kenyans should join together. See, the intelligence is the people at the grassroots level. For instance, I was in the United States. I'm a dual citizen of the United States here. I spent a lot of time in intelligence and understanding security in America and teaching. The most important thing is George Bush, after September 11, came on the bully pulpit and said to American people that life is no longer the same. And so within a very short time, my neighborhood changed. Americans were ready to go to war to defend the territorial integrity and the life of people in America.
Is that what you would have liked to see today, the president probably addressing the nation?
Here's the point. I think the moment we went into Somalia, we had discussion into Somalia. One of the things that needed to happen is a similar homeland security, complete with intelligence gathering, new mind setting, and people who have access directly to the president, cut through the bureaucracy, cut through people who are chit-chatting and talking and mudslinging, and so change the country, put a compelling reason why we are in a war and why this war is a long time, and then change. Now, it didn't happen that way. We fought a very intelligent war. Remind you, Kismayu, how Kenyans, KDF, were able to capture Kismayu is one of the best operation theater in the continent of Africa. But once we did that, it's like bees. When you go in a beehive, you scatter them. We scatter them. We have a porous border. We have an incredible high level of corruption in the country. And then we have people that have not come to terms with the state of affairs where we are. Kenya people think life is okay. Life is not okay in Kenya today. And so the president, it's not too late right now to bring the people of Kenya together and say, people, we are in a war. This war is not short term, it's not tomorrow, it's not everything. Our life as we know it must change. And people of Kenya will rally behind the president, which is needed right now. And once that is done, then you need to bring intelligent oppressors together, right the way from the village level Forget the bureaucrats who are sitting down and passing information at the village level.
Francis, let's look at the reasons that were given today by Al-shabaab and on the reason why they attacked Mpeketoni. And a statement from the group said the attack was revenge for the Kenyan government's brutal oppression of Muslims in Kenya through coercion, intimidation and extrajudicial killings of Muslim scholars. And it condemned the Kenya's military continued invasion, what Professor is talking about, and occupation of the Muslim lands and the massacre of innocent Muslims in Somalia. Are these reasons that we even should be talking about, focusing on as a country?
No, I mean, it's very unfair that these are goons of Al-shabaab. They can reason that we are in their country illegally and we are trying to invade their country. First and foremost, our KDF has done so great that if you ask the ordinary Somalis in the other side of the Kenyan border, schools are up, I mean, people are doing better things, there is freedom, and people are enjoying what we call the human dignity. I mean, they are respected now. But you see, for the Al-shabaab, they must hang somewhere. They must be felt. Because you see, they used to have it as a commercial base and they used to make money. Now they are no longer pirating, they are no longer collecting revenue, they are no longer doing whatever. So you see, they feel scattered and they have an excuse to explain. On the issue of operation in Isli, I would say it was unfortunate because it was done, I do not think, to the best of my knowledge, it was done with very credible intelligence. Because you see, it is not operation of putting 1,000 people or 2,000 people in a concentration camp or in a camp or whatever. It is the issue of following up 2, 3, 4 people and getting hold of them. If you look at the Boston Marathon attack, there were 2 brothers from Chechnya, and you see to them, they had been, their minds had been carried away from the Chechnyan ideology of against the West. And they did it, the 2 brothers, then they were supported by some 2 young men from Kazakhstan. And you see, when the Americans' intelligence family narrowed, it narrowed to each and everybody. One of the young men, 26-year-old Talfa, he was killed. The other 19 was wounded. He's now facing murder charges. The other 2 young guys were in prison because of abetting and an obstruction of justice. You see, they didn't hold up all the Muslims in Boston. They were able to narrow down. So you see, what we need to get is, we don't need to use that situation for any financial gain, and I'm sorry if I might offend somebody. You see, we need to be very, very methodical and very calculative and very honest that we are heading to this problem and we are looking for 5 people who are operating an illegal clandestine, terror organization, which is a national threat to this government. Not every Muslim, not every Somali, not every Muslim. If you are an illegal immigrant, you face the immigration law, but not really that deportation is a part of, like a punishment of war on terror.
Right. Professor, just before we end this, because we're running out of time, this is the second attack that Al-shabaab is taking responsibility for. Of course, the first one was Westgate, and now this one in Mpeketoni. So, how then do we account for the rest of the attacks that we've witnessed in the country? Who or what is this invisible enemy that we're fighting?
Linda, I think my friend here, Francis, talking about the brute war into excursion into Isili. It was wrongly executed because what I can tell you, the KDF are not trained to do police work. These are warriors. They're trained to kill. They're trained to defend the territorial integrity of this country. And if you remember what happened at Westgate, it came almost to a standstill where these different departments were not working together in harmony, simply because that's not their mission. And what we need to do, again, Linda, draw the line between the enemy. Our people are not the enemy. And the enemy, you cannot single out how the enemy look like, because he may look like you and I. And therefore, begin to use intelligent network, including our friends from United States, our friends from UK, our friend from Israel. They have done this for years. They know what they're doing. And then the homeland Homeland Intelligence, which include visible everybody in the village. Okay, if your child has gone for a week, your young man has gone for a week and people don't know where is this person. And then Kenya need to create a huge database of Kenyans using digital information. We need to use every ID that we have that accumulate all information, where we were born, how many children we have, where we went to school, what happened to our life, and all that kind of thing. That need to be all assembled together because of the state of affair that
we are in as a country.
Yes.
Maina, finally, before I let you go, does this government inspire confidence in the way it's fighting insecurity in the country?
It is worrying the citizens very much more than anybody else, because you see the prayers of the security systems, they are trying like to undo each other. And you see the threat we have in this country. We have the local terrorism, the inspired young men who've joined terrorism, and we have the international foreign terrorist. And you see, we need to draw the lines of who should be tracking who and who should be tracking the international people. You see, in this country, the president needs to come up with a very clear-cut policy on security, and he needs to be on top of it. He doesn't need to be told. He needs to have friends who don't work at him, who will be telling him the true state of the country's security. If you look like George Bush in the year 2001, he called the former CIA, FBI intelligence officers. They talked to him. They gave him the idea of the Homeland Security. He worked with it. He worked with the Democrats. He worked with Bill Clinton. They made up a very strong, vibrant security operation, system for the United States. You go to Britain after the suburb of Britain, the same. You go to Israel. You see, we are not an island that we cannot be attacked. And to finish, the biggest threat the president has is the issue of procurement. They are briefcase millionaires who make money from the security, the procurement. If you go to Northeastern, Garissa, Mandera, Wajir, Marsabit, Moyale, Ramu, you go and track the registrar of persons, from the clerical officers, from the messengers. They are multi-millionaires. They own houses in Nairobi. How have they amassed the wealth?
Okay.
If you go to the procurement department in this country, they are multi-billionaires. They have made billions. You see, when corruption comes to that level, even the police officer who is on the border point, who is on a checkpoint, will accept somebody to pass in something else and for 1,000 shillings.
Okay.
So let us not be a bit more throwing stones to each other. Let us stand on the mirror and see ourselves as dirty and go and take a shower, all of us, so that we are able to move forward and accept there is a wrong thing we have done, and our families and our future generation are not secure.
That is a perfect place to end this conversation. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on KTN Prime. We have been speaking to Francis Maina, security expert, and of course Professor Noah Midambo, Professor of Defense and Foreign Policy, on the Mpeketoni attack that happened yesterday evening. We will keep an eye on this story for you. Stay with us, and thank you for staying with KTN. We are taking a short break. We'll be right back.